I can't believe they have to explain this nonsensical theory, but instead of just to debunk how ridiculous it actually is, I want to use this opportunity to explain how magnets work. I don't know what kind of Marvel universe people think we live in, where you take one vaccine and you become Magneto somehow. But I want to bring you back to reality soon. Anyway, before I continue, I'd really appreciate if you smash the like button, subscribe or follow, and help me defeat that evil algorithm. So they have two types of magnets as far as I know. They have the electromagnets and they have permanent magnets, both of which we use on a daily basis and we pretty much take them for granted. Electromagnets easier to explain, so I want to start with that. So we want to start at the atomic scale. So we should know that all matter in the universe have atoms. That is the smallest particle, the building blocks that make up everything we see around us. And these atoms have what we call electrons that circle around it, and these electrons are negatively charged. So when these electrons actually move through space, they actually create one magnetic field. So where we would actually find electrons that move through space? Well, the answer is all around us, because that happens in basically all electrical devices that we use. So when you have one electron where they move at a certain rate, or a bunch of electrons moving at a particular rate, we call that a current. So any current where they pass through a wire will generate one magnetic field, but it probably not be strong enough to cause one significant effect where it's pulling objects toward it. If you have a big powerful battery and you have a piece of wire and you wrap that around some kind of metal, then maybe that would generate a strong enough magnetic field to actually pull or repel different materials from it. And you could actually calculate the magnetic field strength using this formula here. But I'm not really going into all the detail there because this video won't be too long. Anywho, let's talk about permanent magnets. This one is kind of tricky to explain, but I want to try my best to explain it. So we have to go back to the atoms to get one good understanding of where to go on with permanent magnets. You see, when you look at atoms, they have electrons, as I mentioned before, and these electrons have a negative charge. So these electrons actually spin, believe it or not, and all the other subparticles that make up the atom. That includes the protons, the neutrons, and the electrons themselves. They spin, all right? So when they actually spin, they create a very small magnetic field around it, and you can determine the direction of this magnetic field using the right hand rule, where the curl of my fingers here represents the direction the electrons are moving, and my thumb represents the direction the magnetic field is pointing in. So imagine my fingers curling around, which represents the direction of the electrons or the particles in the atom, and wherever my thumb is pointing, that is the direction of the magnetic field. Now, some materials like nickel, iron, and cobalt, they have a bunch of electrons that actually spin in the same direction. And this group of atoms that actually spin in the same direction, these are known as domains. So materials that have atoms that have electrons that spin in the same direction like this, and they have domains, like group of atoms that all spin in the same direction like this, these materials are called ferromagnetic materials. But the reason why materials like iron are really magnetic by itself until you bring a magnet close to it is because the same domains that I mentioned are all spinning in different directions. So one group might be spinning in one direction, the other group might be spinning in a completely different directions. And when you have a material with all sorts of domains spinning in all different kind of direction, then the overall magnetic field of the material actually cancels out. So that's why materials like nickel, cobalt, etc., they are not really magnetic by themselves. So if you look at this picture here, it actually shows a microscopic view of a metal, and you can actually see where these domains are located. You can see it looks quite distinct compared to the surrounding grains that you see. So now what happens when you bring a magnet close to a material like, let's say, iron? So when you bring a magnet close to these materials, all the domains that are located in this material, they will all align together. So when you actually bring a magnet close to these materials that have domains in them, first they were all scattered about and they cancel out each other's magnetic forces. But when you bring a magnet close to it, these domains actually align themselves with the magnet you brought close to it. So that actually causes the material to actually exert a magnetic force. It actually, now the whole material becomes magnetic. Then when you remove the magnet from the material, all the domains, they go back to their original positions, and then the material actually loses its magnetic ability, so they're not permanent. The case is different though when you actually use a really powerful magnet. You see, when you have a really strong magnet and you bring that close to a ferromagnetic material, it will cause all the domains in the material to align with the magnet. But because this magnetic field is so strong, when you actually remove the magnet, the domains actually, some of the domains, I should say, actually stay aligned. So this actually causes the material to become permanently magnetized. And this is how permanently magnetized materials are actually made. Now, some permanent magnets actually do occur in nature. That's because of lightning strikes. You see, materials that already have these domains within them, when lightning strikes the ground, remember, lightning is just basically moving electrons, but it is really powerful. So as a result of that, it has a really strong magnetic field. And when you bring a really strong magnetic field to a metal or materials that have these domains, it causes them to be permanently aligned and thus causes them to be permanent magnets. So in contrast to that, the worst enemy of magnets is actually heat. That's because when you heat up magnets, you actually give these domains enough energy to actually revert back to their original position, and therefore they actually lose their magnetic ability permanently unless you remagnetize them with a strong magnet. But the worst enemy of magnets is heat. So there you have it. That's how magnets work. So why doesn't the vaccine make you magnetic? First of all, imagine you're being injected with a vaccine that has some kind of magnetic material in you that is actually strong enough to hold kitchen utensils on you. I don't think you will actually live to tell that tale. So if you actually have magnets in you that are actually strong enough to hold kitchen utensils on you, then imagine what those magnets will do inside your body. Well, I can imagine they will stick together, as what magnets tend to do. They will clump up, and since they are flowing within your blood vessels, they will eventually find a way and clog up some major artery or some major blood vessels, thereby blocking blood flow to vital organs, and you will have multi-organ shutdown and you will probably die. I cannot imagine having magnets that strong in your body without it causing serious problems. If you got a vaccine with something that has that strong of magnets in you, then you probably won't live to tell the tale. You probably die within minutes of getting that vaccine. The fact that millions of people already took the vaccine already and are pretty good, then that just goes to show how stupid that theory actually is. So based on everything I explained about magnets on a whole, you could conclude for yourself that this whole vaccine making you magnetic thing is just pure bullshit. I want to know what you think. Do you think there is an ulterior motive behind this whole vaccine thing? Let me know in the comments. And that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, give me a like. If you found it very informative, leave a subscribe. Thank you so much for watching again, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.